Hello YouTube, it's been a while, approximately one day, and normally I'm not this prolific on YouTube, but I'm about to go on vacation, and I really don't want to leave you with 3 videos that all follow the same thing because I really do not want to build a reputation like that on YouTube.
Say that one more time.
I said I hate men.
Are you a feminist?
No, I'm really.
So today, I thought I'd switch up the topic a little bit. Everyone say hi. Say hi again to Marceline. Look at her little gray eye. She's in shed. I've been thinking about this topic for about a year now, ever since I got Marceline, and the reasons I've held off from making a full video about it are, number one, I thought it would be too short, but we can always have more 2 to 5 minute videos on YouTube, am I right? Number 2, I haven't found enough data to support my opinion. At the same time, I have heard of people sharing the same complaints as me, and not enough people defending those critiques. I wanted to share it here so that if anyone knows any breeders, if anyone is a snake breeder, they can correct me and educate me. But today I want to talk about my issue with snake breeding, especially as an amateur hobby. So, the first reason I have an issue with it is there are too many snakes and not enough people buying snakes. It's the same reason we spay and neuter dogs and cats. There are so many people breeding dogs and cats that we should not be giving those animals the opportunity to copulate with the neighbors, because then it's just going to produce more puppies and kittens that are going to be abandoned or are going to be in unfit homes. There are also other reasons for spaying and neutering cats, like their hormones and their behavior. I'm going to read some statistics now on my phone that I found on the ground and repaired the screen myself. So if anyone would like to buy a repaired phone for me, I'm about to have a market of 1 phone. I'm sponsoring myself. 65.1 million American households own a dog. That is 66% of American households. 46.5 million own a cat. 6.5 million own a small mammal, like a gerbil, or a guinea pig, or a mouse, or a rat. 800,000 own a snake, which is only 0.8% of the household population. There are more gay people in America than people who own snakes. Despite this, the fact that there are way more people buying dogs and cats and raising dogs and cats in their household, snakes give birth to more offspring than dogs and cats do. For instance, one of the most common pet snake breeds, the ball python, like Marceline. Ball pythons lay an average of 8 eggs per clutch. Now, depending on the size or age of the animal, this can range. The range of eggs per clutch for ball pythons is roughly 1 to 11. The average is just generally 8, and I'm going for the high end of the average to make everything direct and simple. Corn snakes are another popular snake breed, and they lay an average of 20 eggs per clutch, but they can also lay up to 30. King snakes lay an average of 10 snakes per clutch. On the other hand, dogs and cats generally give birth up to 6 pups and kittens, respectively. So we are having way more snakes being born to individual parents than dogs and cats, and all those babies have to go to homes too. Most snake breeders and owners will tell you that snakes should have their own enclosure individually, and that you probably shouldn't really mix snakes in enclosures. They can fight, they can hurt each other, they can eat each other. When it comes to dogs and cats, they can generally just roam around the house or even roam outside, so it's a lot easier to manage a dog's and cat's space. Snakes, for their own protection and health and survival, need their own regularly heated enclosure. Now, the bigger the snake breed, the bigger the enclosure they need. And the thing about the enclosure is, while it overall might be a smaller space than a dog or cat needs to roam around, the enclosure is taking up a bunch of space in your house that now you can't really use because it's basically a big box. I'm gonna direct you. You can kind of see in the mirror, but I'll show you down here. This is Marceline's enclosure. So Marceline's tank is 120 gallons, which is kind of on the big side, but I wanted this to be used for her when she becomes a much bigger adult too. She's supposed to get to be about 5 feet tall. That is my height, so I want this to be big enough for her when she becomes her full size. Snake breeders will give you differing opinions on how much space a ball python needs to roam, since generally ball pythons are pretty stationary and pretty chill. When it comes to snakes like corn snakes and king snakes and boas, they tend to be a lot more active and need more space to crawl around or climb. Another contrast with dogs and cats is that snakes live way longer than dogs and cats, so it's a much bigger commitment, and snakes are more likely to be rehomed than to die with their carers. Aww, you yawned. Did the video catch that? That was so cute. Dogs live an average from 9 to 15 years, depending on the size of the species or whether the species is purebred or a mutt. Purebreds tend to live shorter and have more health problems because their parents have much more similar DNA, which means they are much more likely to pass down the same genetic mutations which lead to genetic disorders in the dog. When it comes to mutts, they have different parents, and genetics tend to favor the healthier gene, so mutts tend to be genetically healthier than purebreds. Additionally, smaller dogs live longer than larger dogs. When it comes to cats, they tend to live around 11 to 17 years. When it comes to snakes, corn snakes live around 20 years, king snakes live around 30 years, and ball pythons live around 40 years on average. Ball pythons can get to be 60 years old. So that means that whatever age you choose to get a ball python, whether you're in your 30s getting a ball python for your small child, or whether you're in your 20s and you want a ball python as a first-time pet, if you're taking care of that pet, you're going to be having that ball python 40 years from now, when you're in a completely different place in your life. That's a really big commitment that a lot of people are not ready for. So again, it's super common to see snakes being rehomed. And while there are so many snakes being rehomed on eBay and Craigslist and Facebook, there's still breeders out there giving birth to hundreds of hatchlings at a time in their big warehouses. Again, I'll go into that in more detail. In their big warehouses, when they have like dozens to hundreds of breeding snakes, all producing babies. So another issue I have is with a lot of breeders I have seen, and I don't know too much about breeding, so this is where I need help from people who actually know. If you look up snake breeders on YouTube, especially, again, ball python breeders, because that's the snake I have and I'm most interested in that, ball python breeders, they tend to have these big warehouses full of drawers where you have these ball pythons being squished inside. I want to hope that these ball pythons get regular time to spend outside their drawers. I have no idea from a YouTube video, but if you are keeping your ball pythons constantly enclosed in little drawers, that is horrible for your snake. They need enrichment, they need mental stimulation, otherwise they're going to be very unhealthy, and research shows that pretty much all pet animals can develop mental illness and have mental health. Look at that, yawn. You're so cute. Am I boring you? I just want to add that when a snake is stressed out, it will stop eating and stop shedding, and those can cause a lot of physical damages to snakes too. So breeding conditions for ball pythons, from what I have seen, do not look very good and look very much like a product manufacturing line for actual living creatures, and I just find that kind of unethical. Another thing is a lot of ball pythons, especially, are bred for their vibrant colors or unique patterns. Pretty much all pet snakes are bred this way, and lots of reptiles, and just animals in general. Even designer dogs and designer cats are bred to be certain species and have certain colors. But that means that a lot of normal breeds like this, so she is a normal morph, this is just the most basic default kind of morph. They tend to be the cheapest, but they tend to be the least wanted because they don't look as cool as a pied, or a banana morph, or a clown morph, or sun-colored, or whatever. Ball pythons that come out uglier patterns or less desired patterns are not going to be purchased. And what's going to happen to them? Again, ball pythons need several gallons of space to have an enriching place to live and to be healthy, and it's just kind of impossible to have enough space for all several dozen to a few hundred of your snakes to have an enriching place to live. So again, I just find breeders and breeding conditions to appear unethical on the surface. I don't want anyone to feel attacked, but let me know if I'm wrong. So, in conclusion, ball pythons are currently my favorite animals, and they're a really cool animal to take care of. They're honestly pretty low maintenance and don't eat that frequently and don't need the same amount of attention and exercise as dogs and cats. But they are a huge commitment in and of themselves, and they do require special care. And because snakes can be bred so much more prolifically than dogs and cats, and we're already putting checks and balances on dog and cat breeding, but we're not really doing the same with snakes. I think there need to be more checks and balances on snake breeding so that hundreds of thousands of snakes aren't being bred and not having homes to go to. Again, this is just my opinion based on a lot of research I know about snakes and how long they live and how many babies they can have at a time and how much space they need in their enclosures. I could be wrong, this might not be an issue at all, but let me know if you actually have data to support one side or the other.